Okay, I thought I would create a video to show you how easy it is to create an assessment using Haiku. Last week we were covering the geologic time scale, and the students were given a list of terms that they needed to become familiar with. And so I'm going to show you how to create an assessment, particularly a quiz, using Haiku. So if you click under Assess and you select Assessments, it'll take you to a page where you have, first of all the quizzes or tests that you've already created. And you can see there's a list here. And each one is assigned based on the type, whether or not it's a practice, which is essentially a quiz, or a test. The due date, the students that attempt it, and whether or not it's open or closed. And at this point, all of these are closed. Notice that we're looking at the published page. This is all the exams that the students have already taken and were available to them. So we're going to create a new assessment. And the first thing you have the option to choose is whether or not this is going to be an exam or a practice. This is a quiz, so I'm going to select practice. The nice thing with the practice is as the students are taking the quiz, whenever they select their answer, it immediately tells them whether or not they're right or wrong. They have to select the correct answer, and then they have to hit submit. So if they're unsure, they can always select an answer and then move on through the quiz and then come back to that question. But once they hit submit, that they're okay with their choice, it automatically tells them whether or not they're right or wrong. With an exam, it's a little different. It doesn't give them their total score until they're done. So the students tend to like the practice because it shows them right away whether or not they're getting the questions correct or not. Okay, so I'm going to create a title. Yeah, we'll do geologic time, line vocabulary. Sounds perfect. Okay. I'm not going to create a description here, but for the schedule I'm going to make sure that it's in grading period 3. It's term 1, grading period 3, and I have the opportunity to choose how many points my quiz is worth. Now this will automatically calculate the score that they receive, depending on whether you give them 100 questions or 5 questions. It will calculate the score out of 25, so it'll weight it on its own. And hit next. Now you have the opportunity to pick how many minutes you want the students to have available to take the quiz or test. I usually just selected unlimited because I know that they usually finish within the time frame that I give them. Okay, you can also, for practice quizzes, you can allow them to take them multiple times, and if so, you have the option to either have the computer average their scores or take their best score. Okay, incorrect attempts is usually 1. You also have the opportunity to randomize the questions or randomize the multiple choice questions. I sometimes randomize questions just so students are on different parts of the quiz at different times. That eliminates cheating. And then randomizing the answers for the multiple choice I tend not to do because oftentimes I have options like A and B, or all of the above, and if I randomize the multiple choice answers, then it sort of makes the question not read properly. Okay, so I'm going to hit save. Okay, and I'm ready to begin. Notice it's titled Draft, and the reason it's titled Draft is because right now it's just in the preparatory part of creating the quiz. Whenever I'm ready to publish what I've created, I would click Publish from Manage Assessment, and I'll show you that in a moment. Okay, so the first thing I'm going to do is add a question, and I'm going to select Matching. And I already have my terms already typed up, so I'm just going to easily copy and paste them in here. Oh, but I have to put a definite directions. Okay. So for example, just pasting the correct term and matching it with its definition here. Okay, and we'll pretend we're going to stop there. Now obviously it's only given me 3 options, 3 different terms I can use. If I need more, I just click the Add More button and put as many multiple choice questions or multiple choice options as I would like. Okay, I'm going to make sure that section 1 just tells me the particular section I want the test to be in. Sometimes I do title my tests based on the particular topic. So if they were to have a test on 2 or 3 chapters, you can create sections. So you can create chapter 9 section and then chapter 10 section so that it reads easier for them, but you don't have to create sections if you don't want. Now notice it's weighted at 2, and that's because I only have 2 questions right now. But we're going to save. Okay, and this is what my quiz looks like so far. Now I'm going to go through here and just show you the other options. There's fill in the blank, multiple choice, of course, true and false, and you can use any of these to create more questions on your test. Now the fill in the blank, you have to have the student type the correct word in properly. If they misspell it, it will mark it wrong, but it does give you the option to type in multiple answers if there are multiple answers for the question. For example, we had a quiz last week on the different eras and eons, and some of the students wrote Mesozoic and some students wrote Mesozoic era, and I was able to type both of those answers in as possibilities, so whether or not they put era at the end or not, I was still counting it as correct. There's also the question library, and this is really great for especially trimester tests or unit tests, because all of the tests that you've created, they go into a bank, and you can pull from those already pre-made questions and create a whole new test. And I did that last trimester for my trimester exam. I was able to pull from all of the tests that I had created in quizzes, change them slightly, and then use that as my trimester test. Okay, so I just wanted to show you that. All right, I'm just going to publish this so you can see how that works. We're going to click Manage Assessment, Publish, and notice that you can choose whether or not you want this assessment to be available at any time for the students, or you want it specifically open and closed at a particular date and time. And I'm going to do that. I want this quiz to open on Wednesday, and I'm going to have it open at 9 a.m. because that's my first class. And I'm going to have it open until Friday. That way, if in case any students are absent, they still have the opportunity to take it. Now you can always reopen a quiz, even though it's closed. You can reopen it and then provide them a password to take it, but I find that it's a little bit easier just to allow the quiz to stay open beyond the time frame that you have it. And obviously it's not May, it's April. We'll do April 8th. So this quiz is going to be open April 6th through April 8th. And obviously we're going to close it at 12 on a Friday because we have a half day this week. The grading period I'm going to make sure is correct. Oh, and up here, notice it says restricted access. I could click this button, and that would allow the students to only take the test once they type in a password that I would create. This essentially restricts opening the quiz at any time. However, if they do, I would see that. So I don't really use this restricted access at all because I can see when they're taking the quiz, and if they took it at a different time, I would obviously see that. So I don't use this. Okay, and then again, I'm going to make sure it's 25 points. And then my favorite part is to be able to choose where you want it to be listed. Because I created that to-do list page, I like my quizzes to show up there. That way they easily can go to that to-do list and it just appears right there for them to access. So I'm going to hit finish. Okay, it's now published, so let's take a look at it. So if I go to pages in my to-do list, okay, so homework and upcoming events. They have a homework assignment tonight, which is to study for the quiz. And the quiz is going to be on Wednesday, as it states. And so they know that in 2 days they should be ready for this particular quiz. And notice it opens at 9 a.m. and it closes on Friday. You could have it close the same day and then reopen it. It's completely your preference. Okay, the only other item I have here is that when our grading period ends. Okay, so I hope that was a good introduction to creating an assessment, and if you have any questions or need any help in creating your own, I'm more than willing to help you, so just let me know.